So this is our first segment of A Softball Life, and it's going to focus on a lot of different people in the villages. And my first interview is going to be with Dan List. And I met Dan, actually, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I met you right after my evaluations, and you introduced yourself because you were always there watching the evaluations. So always getting the leg up on the new guys coming into the league. So I remember meeting you then, and then certainly after playing and managing, we've gotten to know each other better, and it's been great to get to know you and get some of the advice and counsel that you've given me throughout the season. So I appreciate that very much.
I came to the villages. We sold our house. I was in Seattle. Ruby sold everything. The house, the furniture. I didn't know what we had left when I got back, but we were ready to go to the villages. And so the car was packed, her car was packed, and we were on our way down. And
so what year was this?
This is in 2000.
2000, okay.
Yeah. And so we got here, the house, the walls were up on the house, it started, so we rented a patio villa, and I had never been, to the actual ball field. And when I rode by it, it was like a magnet. The car just wanted to turn, and it kept going. And so then we looked around, and I was, of course, still working the first 4.5 years until I got the cancer. I was working, so I could only play on Saturdays.
Okay. So that was the neighborhood league?
That was the neighborhood league.
Okay.
And that's what softball was all about mostly when I first come here, was the neighborhood league. There was a small rec league, one had just a few teams. Two might have had, I can't remember, maybe 6, 7 teams, 8 teams. But there weren't very many people here, about 20,000 people. So I have all kinds of memories from the neighborhood league. It was really, we had cheerleaders, and they'd come to the games and cheer the teams on. And we had one game a week that I have several videos in there they televised one game a week.
Later on, Billy Layton on first and Dave Walker would be on second. The short fielder, Ted Ramirez, gets this line drive over to Dan List, and that's for the force out at first.
And the Slammer Award goes to Dan List. Yes, he subbed for Chatham and lit up Bel Air pitching for a single, a triple, and a home run. He's on deck when he could have got a double, but he didn't get a cycle. But here he is with my partner in crime, Junior Moncada.
Thanks very much, Jens. Right now here with our MVP, Dan List. Drum roll, please, the big boy. That's right, our little Slammer doll. This is here for you, our player of the week. Thank you so much for coming out here. I want to first ask you, man, you did such a phenomenal job. You were a substitute, and you came in with some great hits and also some great fielding.
Well, I used to play on Saturdays now, and so I tried to sub as much as I can. Well, during the Thanksgiving holidays, there were a lot of folks out, and so I subbed. I played 3 games Saturday, and I think that was the second game I think that I played in. So it's just fun playing, getting a chance to play.
All right. Well, speaking of mics, bats and gloves, how do you get your power? What do you do? What is it?
Well, the Little Debbie snack cakes, for sure. That's the first thing. And then the mic and bat, between the mic and bat and the Little Debbie snack cakes, why, that does it all right there.
Little Debbie snack cakes, I love it.
We had so much fun in that league.
So Dan, I heard there was an article written about some guy in the villages hitting a bunch of home runs all in one day. So can you elaborate on that?
In one particular day, I hit three home runs over the fence, 3 separate games, and of course, right away, Gary got a hold of that somehow, and it was in the newspaper that I had done that. And that was probably one of my, talk about feats that you've had or successes in softball. That was a pretty big day.
That's the second time he's done that this game. Later on, Maloof would be on second and Stingy's on third. Dan List with the cracker right over the fence. A 3-run homer! My goodness, that deserves a Diablo play from me! And some more Little Debbie snack cakes.
So hang on, let me just clarify. 3 home runs in 3 different games, all in the same day.
All on the same day, Saturday morning. I came back from my stem cell transplant in 2006 in Vanderbilt. And I came back, and a good story I like to tell about that, and how the village's softball program is so dear to my heart. Pete Velez was the player here then. He's since moved back to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but I'm lying in the den, and I'm wondering if I'm ever even going to get up off the couch or the sofa. Well, I get to bed. Ruby helped me get to bed, but I had no energy whatsoever. Pete came over to see me, and he had a shirt for the Mid-Florida League, which was another senior league that they played in the villages and Division I guys. And he brought the shirt over, he laid it on my chest with a hat, and he says, "Danny, when you get better, you're on the team." Now, I never forget that. That was such a gesture, you know, it can bring tears to your eyes when you think about it, because, you know, such thoughtful people, and Pete was one of them. And I did come back. To come back to play ball, I couldn't throw the ball from the foul line, hit the dugout. That's how much energy I had. I was up to about 140 pounds, I guess at that time. So I would go over at night by myself, get a bucket of balls, and just keep throwing at that fence, the dugout. Well, finally, I got close to the pitcher's mound, and as things went, I got stronger and stronger, and I was able to use that shirt and hat.
Dan, I know you get a lot of enjoyment out of managing in softball. So when did that start? And tell us a little bit about, you know, your time as a manager here.
Management in softball is pretty much parallel to management in the workplace. It's how you treat people. You build a winning team in sales, which I was in sales. You create a great chemistry, and all that other stuff comes together. They trust you, and people play well together. So I thought, you know, I'm going to try that. They made me a manager in 2009 is when I started.
Now this is Division II or Division I?
Division II.
Division II.
We went 15-5. Had a really, really good year. Got into the first round of the playoffs and lost 2-1. The guy hit an inside the park home run with one on, and we could only get one run. So the tournament is not a guarantee for anybody. So that was my first experience of disappointment as a manager. I thought, well, you know, we won the regular season. Well, you know, you learn real quick that the tournament is a different thing. So,
how about if you share with us some of your strategies with the draft process, and now where you are today? I'm sure things have evolved over time, but what are your general strategies today when you go into a softball draft?
Well, first draft night is the first game of the season, because it's the same old thing. If you don't have the horses, the wagon won't move. And you know, so you have to have the players. But what you have to do is you have to, I think speed and defense are 2 real keys, and the 2 outfielders in the middle are real keys.
I just have to say, speed and defense being your priority, I now understand why I was never drafted by the Marlins.
No, maybe I'll come back one more year. Speed in the middle, 2 good outfielders, because if you start taking others, by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th, 5th round, the really good outfielders are gone. Mm-hmm. So, and then you're caught without a pitcher maybe. So you have to got to get that worked in. It used to be pitchers was 5th round. That was always my pitcher, 5th round. You can't do it anymore. So you have to adjust with each draft as to what your strategy may be. But you picture the lineup for speed. This is an article that I wrote for managing in Division II, and be sure you want to take on the responsibility. But your draft order then would be your shortstop, short fielder, and then I would, and this is in the ideal draft if it were, go to left field, get your prime outfielders filled in, you got the middle of the field filled in, and then the rest you're looking for the best athletes and the guys that you know, and there's some, if you can get some real sleepers in the division, in the level 3 and 4 early, don't be afraid to take them. One player that can play outfield and infield, so you don't get stuck with nobody to play the outfield.
That's a good rule of thumb.
If you have some injuries, I've never won a game personally. Just the players you draft that win the games. You know, I can talk a lot. It can sound pretty good and convincing, but the guys have to play ball, and there's 400 and some wins. That's just drafting good people. That's what it is. And then, because you draft good people, I might have 160 wins. And I think the thing I'm most proud of is in that we draft every 3 months. You have a new team. Only had 5 losing seasons in 30 seasons, counting this season.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do in rec softball because the competitiveness, particularly now, the leagues have tightened up with much more competitive. You used to have maybe 2-3 teams that you could count on. Now the whole league is competitive, and that's good. I think that's a good thing for softball too.
Look, you've had a tough run health-wise for a period of time when you were battling cancer, and I mean, you've told me just how much, you know, the softball and getting back to all that has meant to you. How it's kind of kept you going at times.
Yeah, and we were just talking about me coming to the ballpark after getting out of rehab the next day. When I was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma, I had a chemo pump on my side and a PICC line up here. And I stuffed the chemo pump down in my spandex. I went to the ballpark. Jerry Rosinski was managing the Phillies. And this is in 2006, late 2000, late 2006. And I played shortstop. Still, I was high. I had some steroids in me too, you know, along with the medications. And I went 3 for 3. I come back on Friday to play. I couldn't throw the ball 20 feet because the chemo had finally taken over. So that was my last game before I went for my transplant. But that's how much I love the game. I mean, I would be there, and Ruby has always had that problem with me. And I think it's everything. You don't give up. You know, there's that thing on Jimmy Valvano, you know, when he had his speech. And there's a lot to that. You just don't give up. Why give up? Do as much. Just go as long as you can. Whether it be softball, whether it be anything. And you know, the highlights that I mostly remember is my friendships. I really do. I love my softball, but I love my friends too. I think that's you can't. And I honestly think that's probably the main key to my success as a manager. The players know it. The players know.
Division II softball is like an extended family. Today's a very special day at the softball field when we can recognize a fellow member of our softball family. To throw out the first pitch of today's championship game, once again, Dan List. Danny lives and breathes softball. He's very thorough, and he has a passion for the game, and thoroughly prepares himself and his team. Danny's a fighter both on and off the field. That has made him a winner both in softball and in life.
Donnie, what's the count? Donnie, what's the count?
That's it.
All right.
Routine. This is it.
There we go. There we go.
It was meant to be.
Destiny.
It was meant to be.
And I tell you, it's only fitting. Somebody said this is a fairy tale ending. It really is when you think about it. My gosh. I mean, we honor Dan this season, this tournament, and sure enough, the Marlins win the tournament.
Yeah.
So, I want to congratulate Danny, and I want to present it to two people. There's going to be two people here. I want to present this trophy to. We'll start with Danny List for the 2019 summer tournament.
Look this
the
way,
Dan
buddy.
List tournament.
Danny,
Danny.
Danny, look this way, buddy. Donnie, look this way.
Okay.
Come on, let's have a good smile.
Okay.
Great.
And to Ed Bergheimer. Come on, Ed.
Yeah, Ed.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Ed,
Eddie,
look
you-
this way, Dan. This way, thank you. I'm over here, man.
You can only turn his neck.
Thank you.
Going forward, the players themselves just have fun. It took me a long time. I was so competitive at first. I had to learn that this is a game. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. We're playing ball together, and there's nothing like it. It probably added, the cancer. I was ready to die about 6 times, and I think missing the softball might have been the worst thing. Now, I could have went to heaven and played with Terry Mulder and some of my boys that are up there now, had a golf team up there, and that's what I plan on doing later. So, some of you guys, we'll make a team up in heaven, and we'll beat everybody's butts up there. So, it's unexplainable. It's even hard for me to explain it fully, but other than my family, Ruby, and the Lord, I think that softball is right there with them. I mean, it's a passion.
Greenville, Pennsylvania, Dan List.
Oh, Danny boy, the softball teams are calling. From game to game, to beat you they would try. The season's done, and all the leaves are falling. It's you must go, and we must say goodbye. But come ye back in spirit of your history. Just when the grass is cut and in field lined with snow. We'll play the game in loss or gracious victory. Oh, Danny boy, oh, Danny boy, we'll miss you so.